नित्यानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि. Nityanandam everyone, very warm welcome to today's Ask the Avatar with His Holiness the great living Avatar Bhagwan Paramahamsa Sri Nityananda Swami. Today on Ask the Avatar, you are going to get to hear the roar of a lion with his cub. I've been getting a lot of feedback from people around the world. They're telling me the hottest seat on planet Earth right now is not that of a presidential candidate or is not that of being at the top in the entertainment industry. It is not at being on some billionaire seat. No, it is the seat right opposite to the Avatar. In every Ask the Avatar, a beautiful alchemy happens. And it gives me great pride, honor to introduce the first monastic disciple of Paramahamsa Nityananda to be gracing the seat on Ask the Avatar. Her name is Ma Nitya Jnanatmananda Swami. I know worldwide. Yes, as I'm seeing this image, it really does look apt. The mighty lion and his equally mighty cub. I'm seeing all the wild excitement and the applause. Please understand, for Jnanatmananda Swami, it is not just an applause that generates out of, polite acceptance of someone walking on stage. She is one of the most loved people in the Sangha all across the world. Most sought after. She is an adept in the yogic powers that His Holiness has initiated her into. Right from being able to scan human bodies, give a perfect solution that even surpasses that of medical diagnosis. Being able to express the powers of remote vision, look across thousands and thousands of miles. Being able to scan what's going on in people's lives in their homes, giving them a spiritual solution. Being able to mind read, being able to give healing, spiritual healing across extraordinary distances. These are very few of what I can speak of for my dear friend. Today, before we head off into this really exciting Ask the Avatar, I wish to give a beautiful introduction to who she is, how she came to be. Stay tuned and give us your listening. Ma Nitya Jnanatmananda Swami, hear her story. She hails from a very traditional Brahmin family from Chennai, India. She grew up with her parents and an only brother. Naturally, you will be thinking it's a very pampered life. Temples, rituals, pujas were a part of her daily life from her early years. For 7 years, that is from when Ma Jnanatmananda Swami was 15 to the age of 21, in her life, she remembers going to the temple every single day and chanting Vedic stotras or Vedic chants, hymns, daily. She was formally trained in chanting in her school, and she also won many prizes in chanting competitions. From the time she realized herself, she knew she was a devotee of Lord Shiva, and Shiva was the only God that existed for her. Little did she know that she was going to be living around him after a few years. You know, in our Sangha, we very lovingly refer to her as the Nandi of Sadashiva. Because wherever Swamiji is, she's sitting right there, precisely in the position of Nandi with an unobstructed view. Absolute unobstructed view.
Actually,
Swami.
Nandi has two meanings. The Nandi is seen as an ardent devotee of Sadashiva. Nandi is also seen as somebody who comes between you and Sadashiva. So I would like to stick to the earlier cognition of Nandi, not somebody who's coming between you and Swamiji.
I think she was really compelled to give that clarification to all of you, to not leave any doubts as to which category of Nandi she's fitting into. Let me introduce her further. Jnanatma Swami, Ma Nitya Jnanatmananda Swami, she excelled in academics without any kind of struggle. She was a consistent school topper. Did her undergraduate from a top university in India called BITS Pilani, and she was a university second rank holder in her master's degree in computer science, graduating from the North Carolina State University in the US. Subsequently, she also took up her dream job as a software developer at Microsoft at Seattle. Life was pretty much going on as expected. Successful, young, having everything at your fingertips, until life gave a wake-up call in the form of her marriage. A marriage. I'm getting a lot of reactions to that. Wake-up call in the form of a marriage which lasted precisely less than 3 months. It made her realize the true purpose of her life, and she started seeking something much deeper than what she had on the surface. Now, moving on to today, in the Ask the Avatar episode of the day, Ma Nitya Jnanatmananda Swami is going to interview our beloved Swamiji. And today's episode is Roar of the Lion with his Cub. See, you might all be wondering why from the beginning we're saying Roar of the Lion, Roar of the Lion. For people who are watching us for the very first time, you are very new and you have not heard of the delightfully delectable story of the lion and his cub that was expounded on by Swamiji himself. There is something that you need to watch before we enter today's actual episode, where Jnanatma Swami places her questions on behalf of the world at the feet of the Avatar. What is the relation of the lion and his cub? In today's Ask the Avatar, we'd love for you to watch a beautiful video which explains the title and the spiritual context behind today's episode.
There was a lioness. She was pregnant, about to deliver. But she is hungry. She only has to work and get the food. So she went for hunting. When she jumped to attack a goat, from sheep attack a goat, it became a little too much. She fell on the ground. The blow was so much, she delivered the baby and died. The cub was born and the mother dead. Lioness died. All the goats ran here, hither and thither, but suddenly they found that nobody is attacking them and no sound. They turned back and they saw the lioness was dead. And near the lioness there was a small cub, cute cub, trying to look here and there and play around, roll on the mud. And all these guys go there near to see what it is. They say, bah. And the whole sheep, they took the cub with them, and the fellow started growing there. Slowly, slowly he started eating the grass just like any other goat, and started making the same sound. He was growing. Everything was going smooth. Everything was going well. Nothing wrong. Suddenly one day, big storm. One lion saw this whole sheep and one cub running around with the sheep. He was shocked, surprised. Next day the lion again came back to the same place, waited for this sheep to move, and he just jumped and caught only that cub. And that fellow started bleating same way. Ah, ah. And next day again he waits. Again he jumps and catches the same cub, holds him by neck and say, look, you are a lion. You are not goat. Don't be stupid. That fellow starts screaming, no, 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 I am sheep, I am goat, leave me. What he is telling me to do? Why should he every day catch me but not eat me? And why is he letting me go every day? What is mirror? Next day, the same team, same group, same route. He stands from a distance and asks, can you tell what is mirror? Dialed avatar call. Mirror, you can't get in the forest. Go and see in the river water or in the pond water. The silent night. That is the only thing you can do. Means blessing. I'll make it happen. Any way you want. The fellow from there itself runs. Doesn't want to come near. Runs. By now, the touch 2-3 times has made his biomemory believe he's a good guy. The lion says, all right, come on, ask the questions. Give the mic to him. Second day, he comes without the sheep, little closer, but not to the level where he can touch, but little closer, and says, I think I trust you that I brought something. Lion asks, smiles and asks, what did you bring? The best grass. I am a grass retailer. The best grass I brought. We all enjoy. I'll leave it here. Will you also eat a little bit? And lion says, why? Why did you bring grass? This fellow feeling little fear and shy all together. He just drops the grass and says, runs to a certain distance, I brought it because I love you, and runs away. Says, hey, I am telling you, I have no vested interest. I am not here to cheat you. I am not here to waste your time, waste your life. I am here to reveal the real you to you. And that's all matters. First time he looks into the eyes of the lion and sees the powerfulness and compassion. His being already started listening to the lion. Now the cub knows he cannot deny the lion completely, but he is afraid. What will happen to my mother, father, and so many other things I left? Today, he comfortably sat next to him, and it was very nice feeling without the crowd disturbance. He is just sitting, and suddenly the lion roars. Roar. See, your sound is different, my sound is different. Lion says, don't worry. Wait. Come for a few more days. No. Maybe you are telling right, but that is not right for me. And lion says, okay, come back tomorrow. And then again next day. Now the lion feels responsible. He just catches him by the neck. The cub is not completely frightened that he will be killed, but he feels, hey, why are you catching me so? Leave me. And lion has kept a mirror, and it just puts the mirror. Look who you are. Oh, that is your photograph? He shakes the head and, look who you are. Do you see it is shaking? He says, you are shaking now. See, I am stable. See the mirror. See. I am only shaking. Then he throws the mirror. Turns. Look into my eyes. The moment both eyes met, merged. Awakening of the third eye. The fellow roars, yes, it is me. Both go for a walk. Evening walk in the banks of Ganga.
What a delectable, experiential taking through of Jnanatma Swami's life. I'm sure, like me, each and every one of us actually went through her life, went through the journey. See, that was a moment when life introduced her to Swamiji, to Paramahamsa Nityananda. The first live discourse of Swamiji at Microsoft made her realize that he was the one she had been worshipping. He was the one she was looking out for all her life. And not surprisingly, the discourse changed her course of life. One discourse led to another, and in a short while, she found herself as one of the Pujacharyas, that means a priest, and a core volunteer of the Nityananda Vedic Temple at Seattle. During her first Inner Awakening program in the July 2009, she decided to become a sannyasi and subsequently quit her job, joined as an Adinavasi in November 2009. She was then in charge of the Human Resource Department to start with and moved on to coordinating the ever popular master program called the Inner Awakening Retreat. She has been the Inner Awakening coordinator for more than 42 inner awakenings. And now heads the Nityanandam department in the Sangha. Speaking about her initiation into Purna Sannyas, Ma Nitya Jnanatmananda Swami got initiated into Purna Sannyas on the auspicious day of Mahashivaratri on the 10th of March 2013. Since then, she has dedicated her life and beyond to Nityananda, the master, Nityanandam, the master's teaching, and Nityananda Sangha, the community, the enlightened community created by the master. She is committed to living the four tattvas teachings of integrity, authenticity, responsibility, and enriching herself and the world. Well known among all the devotees and disciples as a favorite of Swamiji and as a favorite of Kala Bhairava, the Lord of Time. She wishes to remain the same and wants to be a channel for Swamiji's teachings to enrich and enrich the whole world. Now, we're not done yet. I'd like all of you to watch a very special video on Ma Jnanatmananda Swami, her life as an Adinavasi in the last 8 years.
शरणं परमहंस नित्यानन्द सद्गुरु शरणं परमहंस नित्यानन्द सद्गुरु शरणं परमहंस नित्यानन्द सद्गुरु शरणं परमहंस नित्यानन्द सद्गुरु सुवर्ण पद्मिनी तटान्त दिव्यहर्म्यवासिने सुपर्णवाहन प्रियाय सूर्यकोटि तेजसे सुवर्ण पद्मिनी तटान्त दिव्यहर्म्यवासिने सुपर्णवाहन प्रियाय सूर्यकोटि तेजसे अपर्णया विहारिणे घनान्धरेन्द्रधारिणे सदा नित्यानन्दाय ते नित्यानन्दाय शम्भवे अपर्णया विहारिणे घनान्धरेन्द्रधारिणे सदा नित्यानन्दाय ते नित्यानन्दाय शम्भवे शरणं परमहंस नित्यानन्द सद्गुरु शरणं परमहंस नित्यानन्द सद्गुरु शरणं परमहंस नित्यानन्द सद्गुरु शरणं परमहंस नित्यानन्द सद्गुरु चतुर्विधार्थदानशौण्डताण्डवस्वरूपिणे सदा नित्यानन्दाय ते नित्यानन्दाय शम्भवे शरणं परमहंस नित्यानन्द सद्गुरु शरणं परमहंस नित्यानन्द सद्गुरु शरणं परमहंस नित्यानन्द सद्गुरु शरणं परमहंस नित्यानन्द सद्गुरु
नित्यानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि. First, I want to start off with expressing my immense gratitude for Swamiji himself. And born somewhere, was brought up somewhere, studied in some college, some university, roaming around in the world like a headless chicken. Swamiji literally handpicked me and gave me this lifestyle, and I really want to start with expressing my immense gratitude for Swamiji for giving me this wonderful lifestyle. Because I don't know how many people are there in the world who are jealous of their own lives. And I can say very proudly, with all integrity and authenticity, I am really, really jealous of my own life, the life that Swamiji has blessed me with, and I can only offer it as a gratitude at Swamiji's feet. Nothing else. Because sometimes when you are given the best life possible on the planet Earth, you yourself sometimes do not realize, and it was such a huge wake-up call for myself this morning when I was just going through all these pictures, looking at all the opportunities that Swamiji has given me, and I'm putting it on record that absolutely no qualification on my side. In spite of all the troubles that I have given him, that Swamiji has gifted and blessed me with this lifestyle, and it is just, it is nothing but a pure blessing from Swamiji. Nothing else. Nothing from my side at all, but just a pure blessing from Swamiji, who decided to handpick me for whatever reason and kept me around him for the last 8 years, literally living at the feet of Swamiji. Swamiji, I want to start off with a question of how does it feel to be an avatar? How does it feel for you? Because we know the space of a disciple, and we know you're always there for us, protecting us, showering us with all the compassion. But for you, how does it feel to be in the space of the avatar?
Nityanandeshwara Sadashivasamarambam Nityanandeshwari Adishakti Madhyamam अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. How does it feel to be an avatar? Just like Jnanatma was telling, today morning only she was compiling her whole Adinavasi life. Now only I am compiling. How does it feel like to be an avatar? Understand, when the shoe fits, leg is forgotten. When the belt fits, belly is forgotten. When the crown fits, head is forgotten. When the chain fits, neck is forgotten. If something is remembered, only then it is not fitting. Only if it is not fitting, it is remembered. When she says, only today I am remembering the Adinavasi, she has fit with the whole thing.
That is why it is not remembered. When she asks, how does it feel to be an Adinavasi? When she asks me, how does it feel to be a incarnation? Only now I am looking back, how does it feel? My life is my feeling. How it feels to be an incarnation, if I put it in few words technically, it's like morning. Somewhere in the Kailasa, almost zooming out few trillion kilometers away or miles away, and I don't know how many, you can't even equate it with any trillion, billion miles, and then slowly opening the eyes and seeing, oh, planet Earth. Yes, okay, India, all right, Bangalore, yes, Bangalore Adinam only, banyan tree is there, come on, okay, room, quarters, and then, hey, what happened in the Sacred Hearts? 3 deities are supposed to arrive. Jnanatma ready for the class. Ask what time my session. It is like the whole spectrum of universe available. And one more thing I want to add. The whole introduction, during the whole introduction, I kept quiet means I accepted the whole introduction. Understand? I am attesting, acknowledging. Actually, I was just seeing the way the Mahayoga started. Every word they uttered is true. The whole introduction is absolutely right. When a person who sits with me for so many years, when she asks, I will have to reveal as it is. All-knowingness and the responsibility it brings, and compassion which is needed towards the people when I am performing my responsibilities, giving them enough opportunity to evolve. This whole different tunes and rhythms of the cosmos. One side, the enormous powers available at the disposal, just free will. The other side, enormous responsibility. When things are enormous in front of you, naturally whatever you do is right. See, it is very easy to live with an atmosphere where whatever you do is wrong, People blame, so you can just keep quiet without doing anything. But it is very difficult to live in a space, whatever you do is right, then you have to do everything right because you are responsible. It's a huge responsibility. To be precise, let me put it in a precise few words, map it down to the language which you guys understand. Cognition of the whole cosmos, Mahasadashiva, operating using this body and mind and this system. This system knows only one thing: it is being used by the cosmos, so the cosmos is going to do what it wants to do through this body and mind, and it will protect, take care this body and mind and manifest whatever is required, whenever is required. Because of that grounded cognition, even this body and mind does not have any anxiety to know what is going to happen in the future. See, only with anxiety you feel like what will happen in the future. Many times, this body and mind does not even have an anxiety to know what is going to happen in the future, so it does not even bother to look what is going to happen in the future. It knows Sadashiva is operating and he is going to do what he needs to do, and he will protect. How he will protect? Sometimes even the close circle people think, people who lived closely think, what is this big problem? He doesn't know the solution. How is he going to give the solution for others? Understand, I am bothered, anxious about your future, so I look what is going to happen to you in future. I am not bothered or anxious about my future, so I never look what is going to happen in my future. Understand, only about which I am anxious I will look. About you I am anxious. About me I am not. I am too certain. That's why I don't look. For you I use my powers, but never for me. Because I know for sure I have to protect you. For me, I know I am protected. This grounding and the all-knowing of that cognition and the paradox of not knowing even about the next step because there is no anxiety. Understand, all-knowing Sarvanyatva, because it is so well grounded in that Sarvanyatva, not interested in peeping out of the window and looking what is going to happen tomorrow. this paradox, or I should say, this union of man and God, or in my own way, Godal and many. The paradox of this mixture of all this is what precisely is Nityananda. Understand, even the people. Understand, I am a paradox for the people who can't understand union of all the paradoxes, for the people who are grasping, who are able to grasp me, completion of God and man, who try to receive something from me, incarnation, for the people who are manifesting powers through me, ultimate, for the people who are feeling completely empowered by me. Whatever the other's image is posed on me, imposed on me, or superimposed on me, the precise inner image I feel and the outer image I wanted to project is all of these words and a huge component which cannot be verbalized. The roar, or the hair, or the big eyes, or the huge teeth, all these can be descriptions of the lion by others. It can only be others' image. What lion feels as lion, how can it be described? I can go on and on and on. To be sincere and integrated, it is universe, para, the ultimate, operating through this body. That's it.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. Swamiji, the next question I have is specifically for all the people who are watching you on YouTube. There are like 1 million people who are watching you on YouTube, and another 1 million people who are following you on Facebook. Now, for somebody who has never met you, never met you physically, not attended any of your programs, not taken your initiation, but they are sitting out there in some part of the world, connecting to you through your videos. They feel immensely connected to you. Do you recognize them as your disciple? How do you know that they are sitting there, or do you? Of course you know, but how is that whole process happening?
Understand, this is only one of the rooms I am using. This is only one of the quarters I am using. Just like Bangalore Adhinam as one of my quarters, and many other Adhinams as my quarters, as on now I am using only Bangalore Adhinam quarters, does not mean that is only mine. All the other Adhinam quarters is also mine. Same way, this body which I am using is only one of my quarters. When you say, people who have not met me physically, but listening to my discourses, watching and feeling connected, understand, discipleship is not restricted just to this body. In multiple planes, I exist. In multiple planes, I operate. Each one, the way they are connected, the same way they get the response. Just few days before I declared, now people are going to have darshan and vision in their dreams. Like they will have the vision, darshan of me appearing and blessing them and showering gold coins and diamonds, or showering them with wealth. When they wake up and see, really they will see all around on their bed literally the gold coins and diamond, whatever has been blessed in the dream state, in the real. And you will see in next few days people putting this kind of experiences and blessings in the Facebook. You will see these happenings, the mystery, the mystical happenings are all not restricted only to this body. I should say that this is one of the body I am using. To relate with all of them, there are some more bodies which are being used, and I should say that there is an automatic 911. Whoever calls from wherever, they get the response. And it is not necessary all that information should be known to this body and mind. But whenever needed, this body and mind gets those informations. And whatever is needed gets done through this body. It is such a intense subject. Maybe I'll use few more examples and give you an understanding. In various planes, like in dream state, the body of Nityananda is different. In the deep sleep state, there is another one body. In the waking state only you are seeing this body. And Turiya, there is another one body. In Turiya Atita, there is another one body. In all those states, the bodies which are being used, they all respond automatically from the calls received in those planes. So this body is only one of the centers I am using. That is why when people call, pray, automatically they get the response. When it is brought to me, I download what has happened during that time and give them extra information, that's all. But I myself, this body and mind does not necessarily need to be involved during the prayer or the answer. Action and response happens without even this body and mind knowing or getting involved. So wherever you are, understand, and you are calling this form, this name, feeling connected, immediately Sadashiva responds. Understand, this form and the name is the gift to the universe by Sadashiva. I am also enjoying it like you are all enjoying it. This name and this form is the gift to the universe from Sadashiva. Just like you all enjoy, I am also enjoying it. That's it.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. So, my next question is, over the last few years, I've had multiple opportunities to connect a lot of the people who would like to come for inner awakening or any of our programs. Now, Mahasadashivoham. Yesterday we had the Daily Avatar. Now, during the Daily Avatar, a lot of people who are like aspiring to attend Mahasadashivam got your blessings. And for some of them, you said, okay, you will manifest the money in 15 days. For some who are saying like the family is objecting, you're saying, okay, I will take care of it, they will not object. You'll be able to make it. And some said, okay, I have a health concern, for whom you said, I'll take care of it. So after you actually give the blessing, what happens behind the scene? How does the family member's mind change? How does they manifest the money? And it does happen. I've seen thousands and thousands of examples where the minute you say it happens, I've seen what you say and I've seen the end result. But how do we connect this? What happens behind the scene?
So Jnanatma is asking the business secret. I should say it is not even business secret, it is cosmic secret. See, fundamentally, the ultimate will is operating this will. The ultimate is breathing through this breath. When a word comes from this, it is literally a word coming from the cosmos. Word coming from Sadashiva. Automatically, please understand, let me now explain a very important, see, feeling you are one with the universe and operating as one universe. Understand this too. Feeling you are one with the universe and operating as one universe. Operating as one universe is Sadashiva. Feeling one with the universe is Nityananda. Operating as one universe is only operating as Nityananda. Please understand. Feeling one with the universe is Advaita. Operating as universe is Sadashiva. It is neither Advaita nor Dvaita. There is no Vaita here. Feeling one with the universe is Advaita. Operating as universe is Sadashivatva. When a word is given, immediately it gets into that space of operating as universe, and it goes through certain processes like a certain check and balances. It just sees the person to whom it need to reach. And the form in which it need to manifest. For example, if somebody asks, Swamiji, my family is not accepting, that word family does not have a meaning which all of you have, a common meaning, like his wife or his daughter or his son. No. In his mind, he is remembering is keep, not accepting. What he remembers in his mind, that is the meaning. So that the words he utters does not have it is not taken from the social Oxford English Dictionary meaning. It is taken from his context. The way, reason why he is asking. So it goes through that check. And then the result reaches him. Sometimes he is asking which is not understood by others. That is why what he asks he gets, but others feel he has not got it. Nobody, I tell you, now I am giving you an important secret. Anybody who asks and gets tatastu never goes without getting it. That is why not a single individual comes and says, I asked, I did not get. They always come and say, everyone asks, everyone gets it or what? Why are you bothered about it? You try. The common doubt is, oh, everyone asks, everyone gets it or what? How is it possible? Everyone gets what they asked for. Somewhere if you feel somebody did not get, that is yours. Try to drill that person. He will say, I got what I want. That is why such large number, whether through prayers or programs, goes on coming, goes on saying they are getting, and goes on coming back again. I don't think any other program on the planet Earth is repeated by such large number, percentage of attendees than other than Inner Awakening. You should know the percentage of repetition. Almost above 80% of the people do second. 80% does second. And at least 70% comes for third time. It's not a joke. More than 80% of the people come for second time. That's a testimony. That is a testimony. %40 doesn't go back. That is next. Some people move but don't leave. Yes, some people move to their home or their workplace, they don't leave. Moving is different, leaving is different. This whole two-way video conferencing, the faces almost, you see, it's like if they put even a photograph, I will not be able to find a difference because I see them every day. All of them may move, but they don't leave. The words uttered are pure Satya Sankalpa. It's directly from Sadashiva. That is why those words become reality, just like that.
Swamiji, my next question is, let's say we are all now really getting ready. There's a huge buzz for the December Mahasadashivoham. And there are so many devotees all over the world trying to make it for Mahasadashivam because they don't want to miss what you're going to be offering to the world. If somebody, let's say for example, they are not able to make it for Mahasadashivam, is it that they are not meant to be there, or is it that their will persistence was not strong enough?
See, to tell you honestly, there is no such thing that they are not meant to be there. I will only say, not only they did not have enough will persistence, they did not even have a will. It is just casually, why? Okay, like a window shopping. Like a window shopping, even if they have a will, I can convert that into will persistence. I am embodiment of persistence. Understand? This throne is the witness for my persistence. I sat on this throne 2003 January 1st, this very throne. Now we covered it with a silver, but this is the very throne. You can see the photograph. This is the very throne. It went through everything. It went through everything. It went through ups and downs and fires and accidents, sometimes transfer, everything. And now fully shining in silver coating, finally it won. This throne is the witness. But end, it persisted. I am embodiment of persistence. Anybody has a will, I can make that into will persistence. Maybe people did not even have a will for the manifestation to happen. I should say, even if you have a will, I'll convert that into will persistence and make you manifest as reality. When I am declaring, I am Sadashiva, I am not declaring as my glory. I am declaring this as your possibility. I am not declaring as my pride. I am declaring as your possibility. When I am declaring your possibility, I am shaking many of your insecurities. And many people want to be in their cozy, comfortable zone. Few days before in the satsang I said, the biggest risk is introducing to humanity their possibility. When I am talking about your possibility, the first response you give is cheating. Understand, if I say the whole world is doomed, it is going to be destroyed in 2020 and there is going to be a huge destruction, natural calamity, economical collapse and the world is doomed and gone. Everyone feels, they believe so strongly. That's why many religions run on doomsday. They go on postponing the doomsday. First it was 2000, then it becomes 2012. Now they are postponing it into 2021. But their survival is doomsday. Because that is very believable. Destruction, negativity. You feel very connected and you are really able to believe it, cognize it. But when I say, hey, you are Sadashiva, we are all going to wake up. Millions of people are going to radiate Sadashiva and his powers. See, if I say visually about the doomsday, there's going to be a huge tsunami and ships are going to land on Statue of Liberty and one is going to land on White House and one is going to, and you can visualize, and only that is the reason those movies are so popular. Even those scenes, clips are so popular. The Golden Gate Bridge is being washed away. The New York City getting washed away, and the Kanyakumari getting washed away. Everyone enjoys those clips because in depth they feel it is possible. Yes, it's going to be reality. Very connecting. But when I say millions are going to wake up to Sadashivatva and going to manifest all the powers, even though I have already established at least few people manifesting, it doesn't look like a possibility. Every level, it is always dealt with the load of impossibility. Every proposal of the higher possibility is dealt with the load of impossibility by the humanity. Understand, unfortunately, your mind wants negative end, means the negative understandings catch you very quickly. When there is something great is proposed, presented, many people feel threatened, shaken, disturbed. Their ideas are shaken. End of the day, I know what I am getting into. I know what I am getting into. And I know the human beings. I know the humanity. I know the planet Earth. With that clarity only, I came down.
Swamiji, I have a few more questions. Can I go ahead?
Go ahead.
Swamiji, the lifestyle of an Adinavasi, the way I see it as compared to the lifestyle that I was having when I was working outside, earning, living, you're thinking about your small family, running by some greed or some fear. Either you have to greed of getting promoted or a career success, or a fear of, oh, if I don't go, what my manager will say. Versus the lifestyle of an Adinavasi here, where all your basic needs are provided completely free of cost. You don't have to worry about your food, shelter, electricity bill, internet bill, nothing that you need to worry about your survival or your existence. But something that really thrives us is, for me, it is my love for you. Because of what you have given to me in my life, I feel at least I should do something, because I can never match what you have showered to me, but I feel at least something that I can do in my level I want to give back. That is what is driving me every day, and it is actually an immense joy and pleasure to be a part of this community where everybody is, there is only one common point amongst all the Adinavasis, which is our relationship with you. And it feels like a really blissful community, which I feel is the only hope for today's world, where living in a community where you don't have to work for your survival, but living in a community where your possibilities are explored. And every day, like when people ask me, okay, how's your life been in the Adinam last 8 years, the only thing I can say is, I had a very clear boundary about myself. Now I myself do not know what I am capable of. I am exploring myself, and I am seeing myself do some things which I never thought I could possibly do. So it's just a lifestyle of exploring the possibility. So how do you see the lifestyle of Adinavasis or the Adinavasis in the next 5-10 years?
See,
Your vision for Adinavasis.
I am seeing at least million means 10 lakh people residing here in Bangalore Adinam, exploring multiple possibilities and powers available for human consciousness. Understand, when I say possibilities, things which you can develop by practice, like yoga, things which you can develop by practice, like Nirahara Samyama, like creating a new software, or learning a language. See, even the possibilities can be given by initiation, that is different, but things which can be developed by practice, all that I call as possibilities. Learning to carve, learning to build a temple, learning to read, write, multiple languages, all that. What comes not by any training or practice, straight by initiation, transmission of energy, that is what I call power. The Shakti, transmission of Shakti. I am looking at this place in next 10 years, million people residing, exploring various possibilities and powers which is available for human consciousness and sharing it with the whole world. In the field of medicine, the field of agriculture, the field of clothing, jewelry, construction, spiritual thought currents, education, teaching, yoga, Ayurveda, and dance, music, what not. I am looking at this place as a real universal city where multiple branches, people are exploring all the possibilities and powers available to human consciousness and making it as a reality for humanity. And it is time humanity has wasted its time and energy enough. We wasted our time and energy enough by searching for food and shelter and basic needs. I feel at least few million people need to be relieved and given all those basic needs and asked to explore the further possibilities and powers. That is what exactly I am doing here. Giving them all the fundamental needs, letting them explore all the possibilities and powers available for humanity and human consciousness.
And for me personally, if I have to say, it is just the excitement of living around the avatar. An avatar who happens in 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years, we don't even know. But just being able to live around an avatar to see how he lives, how he eats, how he talks, how he walks, how he does what he does. Because we have never had an opportunity to explore an incarnation, and when an incarnation is in a human flesh and bones and body, it is an immense joy to just live around him. Forget about anything else, just living around. If somebody asks what you do in the Adinam, I just say I hang around Swamiji. To be very frank, nothing else I do. I just hang around him, and it is a beautiful lifestyle to live like that. And Swamiji, to come to a last question, something which is really my passion, something which you have gifted to me is the lifestyle of sannyas. I am thoroughly, I can tell very clearly, I am thoroughly enjoying this lifestyle because it is a lifestyle of ultimate freedom, where in the sense that when people ask me how come you left your job in Microsoft, your lifestyle in America, all your possessions, how you decided to live this lifestyle, the only thing I tell them is, this is the first time in my life when I took sannyas, I am experiencing freedom. Freedom in the sense that I am not bound by anything. I am not bound by a car or a particular way of food or particular type of dress, particular type of a lifestyle, but I am experiencing, feeling what it is to be a part of your cosmic body. That is the way I envision myself, that I am one of your hand, I am one of your leg, like I am one part of your body. So for all the youth of today, Swamiji, who are running behind the sensual pleasures, either in terms of food or entertainment industry, pubs, clubs, relationships, and getting thoroughly cheated because it is not fulfilling them. And sannyas is that lifestyle which is the only way out for today's youth. Can you say a few words about that, Swamiji?
See, when Jnanatma was putting this question, I can see very clearly when she says she is part of my cosmic body. Of course, true, she is part of my cosmic body because she is holding my responsibility. She is shouldering my responsibility. No doubt about it. And modern day youth running behind some car, house, relationships, with a huge blind spot. Understand? You run for something. After reaching, if you ask, why did you run? You don't have an answer. What a huge blind spot. Actually, your blind spot is larger than your life. That is what is depression. Blind spot being larger than your life itself is what I call depression. When she is putting that question, I can see very clearly. And I am also proud that I have produced fulfilling sannyasis. Understand, sannyasis who are celebrating that lifestyle. Because it is through celebration the expansion happens. It is from celebration the expansion happens, not by grumbling, grudging, incompletion. No, somehow I am pulling a sannyasi. No. What I am saying, it is only by the people who have this matured cognition that sannyas grows. I know, I am proud. I have created a sannyasis who celebrate the life of sannyas, who are celebrating. Sannyas is not just celebrating, it is celebrating. Celebrating the celebrating. No, it is celebrating that. That is what is, I call, completion of sannyas. Completion of sannyas. Understand? I can very conveniently, with all my integrity, I can say, I have a celebrating sannyasi in Jnanatma. I wanted to send a message to the whole world, especially the modern day youth, by answering this question. Let me define youth. Whoever thinks your future is more important than the weight of your past, you are youth. If you think your possibility about the future is more important than the weight of your past, you are youth. That's the definition of youth. If you feel the weight of your past is too big than the possibility of your future, you are already old. I want to send this message to all the youth by answering this question. I tell you, be matured. Look at the life with maturity. Forget about what is the feedback from others. You see your life. What you really want, are you moving towards that? Is every day you are responsibly behaving towards what you feel as your goal? I am not even saying change your goal. If your goal is money, change it to enlightenment. If your goal is a house and a car and a career, change it into Sadashiva. I am not even saying that. I am not talking about goal change. I am only talking about, are you integrated to your goal? That's all I am asking. When you bring integrity to your goal, you will automatically bring integrity towards you. When you are integrated to you, you have to be with me. when somebody is sick, he has to go to hospital, whether he goes by walk or a car or a two-wheeler or running or rolling or ambulance, but he has to reach hospital. If you are sick, you have to reach the hospital. If you are seeking, you have to reach me. Understand, I am not even asking you to change your goal. I am only asking you, are you integrated to your goal? When you bring integrity to what you think as your goal, so many blind spots will start getting healed. You will start getting integrated to you. When you are integrated to you, you have to be with me, and you will be with me. You will find a way to reach me. Understand? I am giving this as a clear vision for the modern day youth. Come on, it is time. If you are running after pseudo things, that also in an unintegrated way, you are not even going to have planet Earth in next 2-3 decades. It is no more a luxury. No. If it is early morning, 3 o'clock, waking up or not waking up is your decision, freedom, luxury. But if it is already noon, 12 o'clock, waking up is your survival. It is already noon. Vaivasvata Manvantara means 51st Manvantara. We are on the 51st Manvantara of Brahma. It's already noon, not even 12:30. It's already past noon. At least few million of us, let's wake up, come together, explore all the possibilities and powers of consciousness, everything available for human consciousness. Let's explore. Let's bring everything together. Let's explore, and everything expressed, let's share it with the world. It is time. We need to wake up to protect, serve, care the humanity. So, my clarion call to the whole humanity, especially to modern day youth. Adinam chalo. It is actually joy to sit with your own cub and see how the cub makes you roar, and what all the cub does to make you roar. Especially somebody who is really integrated. Understand, sitting at my feet for 8 years is not a joke. I know it is not a joke. Whether in a good way, sense or a ferociousness, both intense. Love or care. both are intense. It is literally putting yourself in a mold and just getting molded. No unwanted parts are going to be left, and no tomorrow. No, can I wait for some more time? No. And a person who stayed for 8 years with her depth, it's such a joy to explore and respond to her depth. Understand? I cannot just like that answer for her questions, because for every question she asked, she would have heard at least 25 different answers from me in various inner awakening. I cannot just like that brush it aside. From the depth from which the question comes to the depth, I will have to answer. It is such a joy to handle the questions from depth. The questions from depth. And
Swamiji, I want to say something. Actually, when Swamiji said it is not so easy to be at his feet, I actually feel that it wasn't very easy for Swamiji to handle a disciple like me for about 8 years. Literally tolerating every kind of mood swing. See, I always enjoyed the lifestyle of an Adinavasi, lifestyle of a sannyasi, but that doesn't mean that I immediately fit into the mold that Swamiji wanted me to fit into, and he tolerated, patiently, sometimes waited, sometimes ferociously awakened, all of that. But at the end of the day, he decided to keep me at his feet, and I am eternally grateful to Swamiji for that. And to conclude, I really want to say, Swamiji, that in this Janma or whatever number of times you're going to come back to planet Earth or in any other plane, please always keep me at your feet, because it is too good to miss, and it is too good, and it is actually, it feels too cool to be at your feet. With that, I would like to thank you so much for giving such a wonderful opportunity for me, Swamiji.
so the essence, first I want to say Tathastu for what you asked. Blessings. Today, when they were reading out the introduction, they said that she's an Nandi, and she said she doesn't want to come between you and Swamiji. Actually, Nandi comes in between Shiva and devotees only to protect Shiva. Sometimes Shiva himself cannot defend him. He is in Samadhi. So somebody has to be running around and defending. So Nandi does only that job. So bull, even when it bullies, it is only for Sadashiva. I know there is so much to discuss and explore. Share. The essence of today, the Astavatar series, the essence I am going to give is also the essence of Jnanatma and her character. Celebration of Guru Bhakti in the form of sannyas. I'll say that is the essence of today's session and the statement of Jnanatma's life. Celebration of Guru Bhakti in the form of sannyas. So I give this as a message to all And it's such wonderful. Actually, I did not think, of course, I never think is different. I did not expect a disciple can make me think so much and can get such a in-depth answers from me. Maybe you may have to watch this as the avatar, this series, this satsang at least 4 or 5 times, because many of the answers I gave are from depth. Many answers I gave are very deep. The words may look like I used it already, but the answers are very deep. Go through it, you will understand the depth from which I responded. And it's such a joy to respond to the cups. And my blessings to all of you. The essence is celebrate Guru Bhakti through sannyas. With this, I give this mantra kapu to Jnanatma for this wonderful interview as my memorable gift and a protection. So, be blissful, blessings, I bless you all. Let's all radiate with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching, causing, living, Shuddhatvaita Saivam, Sada Shivoham, the eternal bliss, Nityananda. Thank you. Be blissful.